Okay, hello coaches. We have another Burnout Coach Spotlight for you today, and I would like to introduce to you Giulia Del Bene, who is, I believe, working with Kandis Lock, who was the last Burnout Coach Spotlight that we did, and they worked together. Giulia tells me she's coming from Mexico today. Beautiful. So, Giulia, the first question I always ask everybody is, how did you get to be working with burnout?
Hi, everyone. Well, it's an interesting story because I used to be, and I'm still working sometimes, not as before, as chef. So what brought me into burnout, it was a really huge burnout 5 years ago. That's almost stopped me being able to work. And I remember I was doing a yoga class that it was 5 years ago, and I was like in this huge tension in my body. And I was like, I did Shavasana for 10 minutes and I was getting like, oh my God, I can't stay in this. I was just engaging my body. And that day I was like, this can be. This can't be. I can't live like this. I can be feeling like engaging my body. And so everything starts from there. Yeah.
And what were you engaged in that caused the burnout for you?
Say it again.
What part of your life was giving rise to this burnout?
It was work for sure. And also like being too busy, like having no time for myself. I think it was like the hugest part in that case. Like I was running all the time, planning all the time, working 15 hours a day, running different projects, a part of the restaurant. And it was like, I was like, yeah, it was crazy. And so food for me was always a passion. Like, so I completely lost my why. And I was like, there is no reason anymore for me to just do what I'm doing because there is no purpose. I was like but you know when you really like something that you do, at a certain point you figure out that you don't like it anymore and you lost. So this brings me to work with women that are so passionate about what they do that forgot about themselves.
Yeah, good point. We tend to really lose ourselves in our passion, which works and works and works and works and works until one day it stops working. And we realize we've ground ourselves down a little bit too far. So you were working as a chef at that time, were you?
Yes, I was. Yes.
Oh, chef burnout. I haven't met anyone who's talked about that. So that's interesting. And where were you in Mexico then, or were you in Italy, or where were you?
No, I was in Italy. In Italy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow, so interesting. Yeah. So who do you work with specifically now then? Just passionate women who are working, or is there a more specific niche? You're not working with chefs, are you?
No, I'm not, because I work with women. Mostly they are also in a time of their life that are so passionate, but there is a kind of passage in between, let's say, perimenopause.
Okay.
So it's a moment where women have like a huge, sometimes they lose their purpose. They need to just find themselves again. And there is these things about passion. So that maybe they just used to do things and then they find out that they want a new life, or maybe they want to do things differently. And I'm not working with chef because it's a really difficult industry. And people don't want to take care of themselves. So it's huge.
Yes, I think being a chef has that connotation always of massive overwork and a very intense style of living and working. Yes. That seems like a treadmill. Also, I mean, we lose a lot of people. We lose a lot of chefs, right? And a certain number of chefs go too far and they take, for example, some of them are involved with drugs and some of them take their lives.
Oh,
it seems like a very extreme
life.
Downward spiral for a lot of people who are chefs, which and we see that in so many industries, so many other industries. medicine and law and a whole bunch of other ones, teachers. And
Teachers. Yeah.
I find it very difficult. So in terms of your target audience, part of this is so that people can refer clients to you. So what area of the world do you work in now? Where are your clients based?
They come mostly from North America and England. I'm mostly working English right now because I used to work also in Canada and in North America. So my women comes from all over North America and England. Also because the training I did as embodiment coach was in England. So I have a bunch of network that is spread into North America and England. Yeah.
Okay. And talk to me a little bit about that embodiment work then.
Embodiment work, I think that for me was pretty important, like link burnout with the body, because I found that it was all in my head. So I really had a huge problem till I was thinking that it was all in my head, that there was no solution, because I was thinking that I was the problem, that I was never enough, that it was never enough what I was doing. So that moment when I feel that there was so much tension in my body, and I was like, I have to work it out in some ways, but it's there. It's something that is real. Like, it's a problem that I have. It's not like that I am a problem, but because I need to be fixed. So everything started from there, and I started to talk with a lot of women that I used to have a huge women network already before I was doing women's circle and other things in my yeah. And there was these things about, I feel that I am the problem. So for me, the body and work find tools that give women the possibility to attune with the body and really start to understand their needs is super important. So it's where everything to me started. It was like the end point, but it was also the superpower I found into burnout, working with my body and really understand what was going on, like what stress is, what, like, actually, because it's physiological. It's not only, oh, I'm stressed and I don't know what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think same for men or women, anybody in burnout is disconnected from their natural self. And I actually find it quite intriguing that you, as an Italian, as this passionate chef, are detached from your emotions and your body, because the Italians are quite renowned for being very in their body and being very voluble and very emotional. So it must have been quite a shock for you.
It was. I actually went through a huge, it was like huge for me. I was unable to cope with my life completely. It was like, who I am, what, like, yeah, it was huge for me. And also, like, it's why also I use food into my work with women, because the nourishment that we can find there and go back to something that is like primordial, because we have to eat. And that thing is one of the first things that we lose in burnout. Now we stop eating, or we eat too much, but there is numbness, or there is like obsession, but we lose that relationship with food that is nourishment, taking care of ourselves. So my approach is kind of about more, have food that has to be simple, fun, and tasty in a way that you have to just rebuild that connection with something that's, but in a way that really anchor you to the present. That is what we need. Like in the burnout recovery, this coming back to present moment is something that is really like, can be very important, because we are a lot in the future and a lot in the past, but not a lot in the present, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we're disconnected. We're somewhere out in the ether all by ourselves. I think that's quite a good metaphor, this whole nourishment of food and the simplicity of that nourishment, and the heart and soul that goes into preparing food and sharing food is quite a good metaphor for what all of us need in burnout, because we're very spiritually undernourished, we're disconnected from ourselves and from everybody else and from all that's good in the world, all the juiciness of life. So I think undernourishment was a big theme for me in every connotation you could make, in every way you could think of undernourishment meaning. That's how I felt it. I think it's a great place to come from, because now you have, it sounds to me when I'm listening to you, you have a really good, strong understanding and basis for helping people.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was huge. When we have been there, I think that we really can relate to people and really understand where they are in that moment and how we can really support them. Yeah, so it's really important, I think, to just really know where people are in their recovery, in their burnout journey. Yeah.
I feel very heartened just listening to you. But tell me something, so we spoke to Kandis Lock last week, who I understand is your partner. How do you two work together?
We are actually launching a course, Become the Leading Lady of Your Life. Is break the burnout cycle, doesn't have to be hard. And it's gonna start at the 25th of May, and is a 6 weeks online course designed for women that are in a kind of life crisis at the moment, and they feel that we have a seasonal model about burnout, so they can, with different symptoms, spring, summer, autumn, and winter, so where actually women can make their own roadmap around where they are at in burnout and how they need to be supported. And yeah, it's gonna be all about embodiment tools that we can, our women can bring home and really practice. So from burnout to just use burnout as a superpower. So something that can really help us change our life, that is actually, at the end, it can be also seen as, oh, this is happening to me, but there are opportunity. So.
And this is a group program, you're running it as a group, are you? Or is it an online program, or what is it?
It's an online program, yeah. It's an online program, but we're running it like with we are taking different women coming from different places, and so it's gonna be a coaching group program where we're gonna have like every week for 6 weeks and 1.5 hours of teaching, practice, and supporting and reflect back to each other about our journey, yeah, and what we learn.
Okay, and for anybody who's listening, we'll put the link to that in the comments of this video so you can check it out.
Yeah.
What tips do you have? What do you think, tips for other coaches that you think will help, first of all, then primarily in your embodiment practice, presumably that will help people in burnout?
I think one of the biggest thing is start every coaching session bringing people back to the present moment with really simple centering technique, like feel your feet on the ground, relax your belly, drop your shoulder down, take a big breath, and tell me how you are now.
Yeah. Love it. I think we're out of time now. Anything you want to say before you go today, Giulia? I didn't ask you.
I think I'm very good. I'm really, thanks. Great. Yeah. I really thank you for the space that you gave me and yeah.
Well, it's been delightful speaking with you. I'm glad you could make it on today. Thank you for coming. And we look forward to hearing about your course. Tell us back in the group how you go.
Bye.